And on to the blue. Scotty, are you ready?
I'll be ready in like 15 seconds.
All right. Well, I'm gonna start then. Enter the Enigma is the first and the cheapest blue spell. For a single blue mana, it's a sorcery that says target creature cannot be blocked this turn, draw a card. Okay. So it's a cantrip, right? It's 1 mana, you're gonna get the card back. And it can whiff. This can whiff. Because like it's dangerous to use it. They have removal, it's not instant speed, you can't use it on the end step or something. So it can whiff, so it's not just like, oh, I'm always gonna get an attack in. But this is a pretty cool design. I don't really like not unblockable and stuff. I would say, maybe I'm wrong, that this is the best survival enabler. What do you think about that take, Scotty?
It's a pretty good take. Yeah, this is a really easy way to get it going.
So I think like it's never horrible, right? It's just sometimes you don't want to use 1 mana for this for cantrip. But in blue-white or in blue-green, there is some uncommon survival things that you kind of like, and this is gonna be pretty good there. This is gonna be pretty great there, because then you're getting like extra creatures or things are going through. You're getting more for just 1 mana. It's gonna be like 1 mana, make a 1/1. 1 mana, draw 2 cards. 1 mana, make a 2/2. Use the dread. Get a creature back from your graveyard. Like if you have those uncommon survival creatures, this is amazing. But it's also okay with commons, like the 4/4 in green. You attack, get through, you gain 2 life with this. That's not a small thing. So now I think this is gonna be pretty big in certain decks. It's cheap, it's very low investment cost. You can just use it on your opponent's creature if you need to cantrip. I'm gonna be on a C+ for this one. I think this is gonna be one of the better blue commons, even though it's definitely not gonna fit every deck. If you're slower, I don't think you care about this. But seems like it's gonna be pretty good. I don't think there is any instant or sorcery payoffs in this format.
I don't think so. Not that I've seen.
What do you think, Scotty, about the card?
I mean, I think it's good. I don't really have much to add. There's a 5-drop uncommon. That seems impossible to get through unless you cast this on it.
The 3/4?
The 2/7. The 2/7.
Wait, what does the 2/7 do?
Draws cards equal to the number of damage it's dealt when it hits the player.
Oh, it's a 5-drop though?
Yeah, the card doesn't look very good, but I feel like it only works with this. But yeah, I also give this a C+.
Okay, we're high on this one. Enter the Enigma. First blue, pretty good. Papa?
Next one is Unable to Scream. Let me clear my throat, gee. Blah, 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 blah. Unable to Scream is 1 mana for an enchantment aura. Enchant creature. Enchanted creature loses all abilities and is a toy artifact creature with base power and toughness 0/2 in addition to its other types. As long as this enchanted creature is face down, it can't be turned face up. Normally these effects are pretty bad because your opponent still has a blocker, right? Oftentimes they're left with their abilities. But this kind of has a lot going for it in terms of you actually strip it of all its abilities, you make it useless on attacks, right? So it's not like you're shrinking it to 1/1 frog and they're still taking damage. This is a good tool for a defensive deck. Like this is efficient, right? This is good defensive speed if you're actually planning to go to the late game.
It's an enchantment?
Yeah, so I actually like this. I think this is quite useful, and I think that in the flip side of the other deck of Into the Enigma being pretty good if you want to be proactive, like if blue is your supporting color for a proactive strategy. If you're more defensive, I think this will be similarly valuable, and I do anticipate a fair number of decks that will want this. I'm also going to give this one a C+. I think this is pretty good.
Oh yeah.
Organic Chicken, thank you very much for 6 months, and I think that I usually hate these effects. So just to be clear, like usually hate them. No flash on this one. But this is another good way to trigger survival. Like, blue has the best ways to trigger survival so far. And yeah, it's if you're gonna be a slower deck, like if you have Eerie, this you care about this as well. If you have a good amount of card draw, this is a very, very good way to make that card draw not kill you. So, man, I love this. I don't know. I've never given a card like this like a good grade. So I'm a little bit hesitant on a C plus because they still have a 0-2. So I'm gonna start it as a C. But I think in a lot of decks it definitely is like a C plus. Very, very nice card. In some decks I think it's even like higher than C plus maybe. Like the more card draw and Eerie you have, maybe survival, but the more card draw and Eerie it just gets better. Like if you're doing the grindy thing, it's so nice to like slow them down. It's very good tempo tool if you don't care that much about attacking and getting through. So yeah, I kind of want to give it a C plus as well, man. It's like I'm gonna start as a C. I'm gonna be a little bit cowardly, cause I don't. What do you say?
What's the last effect of this that you hated?
I mean, every one of them I didn't like. Like 2 mana flash, two mana flash make it a 1/1 was fine, but not that great. But it was flash also, so they lose a creature.
It's also double the cost.
Double the cost. Yeah, double the cost. There were like cards that exile and give them a 1/1. I hated those cards always. The Flash Piranha was kind of okay. I don't know, I think it's gonna be a C. Come on. I kind of want to just give it a C+. Let's give it a C+. For grindier decks, a C+. If you're not grindy deck, I don't think it's that good. But I think this is a very, very good role player in those decks. Or just survival, right? You just need to get through, they can block, you're fine with it. Yeah, alright. Creeping Peeper. For 1 and a blue, it's a 2/1. You can tap it to add a blue mana. Spend this mana only to cast an enchantment spell, unlock a door, or turn a permanent face up. Okay, that's kind of a lot of things it does. There are a lot of enchantments, okay. There's some doors that you want to unlock, okay. Sometimes you're turning permanents up, I don't think it's super common to do that, but why not? It is a little bit crazy to me how every time a blue... Most of the time when blue gets this effect, it's like it's on such a horrible body. It's a freaking 2/1. So, if it's a 1/3, I guess it can block some things without dying. This always dies. So either you just played something that's not gonna do anything on the blocks and ramp you, or a bad creature that blocks and doesn't ramp you. So I'm not big on this one. I'm on a D+. I think it's okay in some decks, like it's gonna ramp you to a lot of things. But it's a really bad body. It's a very bad body. I can see it being just a D, but let's start with a D+.
I think this is fine. I mean, I think I'll go C- on this one. If you're trying to if you're trying to accelerate your later game, or trying to survive into your later game, I kind of think the 3/3 just does it better. There's a stalked researcher that's going to come up later. That's a 2-drop 3/3. Yeah. So normally I think this does a decent amount. Like you know what you're describing is that you can trade, or you can ramp. That's not something I hate, but I also think that the 3/3 kind of just does both those things better. So I'll C-.
Okay. No, I really don't like it. These cards are never good. They're just never good. The D+ is a big grade for me, I think. So I think you're gonna go down on it. But we're gonna see.
I feel like I usually like these cards.
Yeah?
But I like losing, so.
Okay.
Don't make a sound. 1 blue for an instant. Counter target spell unless its controller pays 2. If they do, surveil 2. You only surveil 2 if the spell doesn't get countered. So this is either a quench, a straight up 2 mana, pay 2 counterspell, or in the late game when your card is worthless, you get the do they call it a booby prize? They get the secondary prize of a Surveil 2 on your 2 mana spell.
And they have to pay 2.
Which yes, it's true. They do have to pay 2, so you may cut them off from a double spell or something like that.
Yeah.
Or using ability. So I don't think people are going to be like unmanifesting all the time. So I'm not like as worried about your opponents just having so much mana sinks, right? They can unlock doors, you know, if you're holding up an obvious counter spell. Like there is still things on board to spend your mana on. I'm not really into quenching. No. Nothing about this set particularly says to me that, oh, your opponent's going to be tapping out on turn 8 often, you know, like no kicker, no scaling mana costs as much. So I'm going to give this one a D+.
I mean, Surreal 2 is okay as a backup later on. I'm on a D+ as well. This is a fine quench, I think. I can see this being being better, right? If you need some interaction. I don't think you care that much about instants, but nothing cares about instants or non-creatures in this set, so that's a little bit of a thing. I mean, Surreal 2, but for like, you can think of it as like kinda 0 mana, right? You didn't actually, you invested mana, but opponent also had to invest mana. So yeah, I think it's a good quench. It's a good quench, but I'm not a big fan of quench. So yeah, D+. It's okay. Piranha Fly. For 1 and blue, it's a 2/1. Flying, and it enters the battlefield tapped. It's an insect for that one rare. Mythic. I don't know what it is. Huh. Feels like you could have a common 2-drop that's a 2/1 flyer these days. Right, Scotty? Like, this would be fine.
Yeah, it'd be fine.
This would be crazy in the old days. Like, oh my god, 2-drop that kills the opponent in 10 turns. I'm always gonna go back to that, because it has changed so much, Limited. In a good way, I think. I'm not a big fan. Not a big fan. Blue has that, like, unblockable spell. I don't think blue is very fast. I don't see anywhere where this is... like, where this works with some synergy or something. I think it's just very medium. I think I'm gonna go on a D+ as well. It's not bad. Enters the battlefield tap is kind of huge when you need to block. And I think in blue you're gonna be blocking a lot.
I hate it, D.
Yeah, it's a D for a 2/1 flyer that can block. That can block. That's... yeah, blue creatures cannot be good. Blue gets its power somewhere else usually. Here, for example.
You said it would be crazy. How many years ago did you say? What number did you just randomly throw out?
Like 6-7 years ago. I didn't throw any numbers.
Stormfront Pegasus is 12 years ago.
And what was it?
It's a 2/1 common. That's a 2/1 flying with no downside.
2/1 flyer with no downside? In what set was that?
Yeah. M12. 12 years ago.
And that was probably like one of the best commons in the set, right?
I think it was fine.
I think it was
okay.
Like, I mean, then the 2/2 flyer for 3 mana was good because it kills the opponent.
Stalked Researcher, 1 blue for Human Wizard. It's 3/3 with Defender. Eerie. Stalked Researcher can attack this turn as though it didn't have Defender. I actually think this is a fine defensive tool.
Yeah.
For blue decks, yeah. 3/3 is big, you know? Like you're trying to curve out, you know, you've drafted sort of a roughish aggro deck, but you hope your opponent stumbles and you can just beat them down, right? And then your opponent plays a 2-mana 3/3. What the heck? It's cheating. It's huge. And then like later on, you can like punch in, perhaps, or when when you're developing, your opponent's not presenting that much of a board, you know, you can clock in for like 3-6 damage. It's good. I like these cards. I think this is a C for me.
Yeah, C for me as well. I like it a lot. It's eerie, actually. There's also a huge difference how many times this can attack. I think it can attack a very, very good amount of times. Similar to the Pirate, which was a pirate that worked with artifacts in LCI that could attack. So when this can attack a lot, it is so much better than when it can't. Like sometimes the 3/3 defender for 2 is not something that impacts the board well, and it's like a card loss, and it doesn't clock the opponent when you need to. You really want your 2-drops to be able to kill the opponent if they don't have a defensive setup, if they're dirtling around, even if you're a super slow deck. You want to kill them if you can. I think this can a lot of times. So that's pretty big. And also with this researcher and with unable to scream, I think blue has, these are two commons that I think make blue grindy strategies pretty good. Pretty good already. Like there's enough low mana impactful cards that are gonna keep you on board, keep you alive. See, I like this. Erratic Apparition for 2 and a blue, it's a 1/3, Flying Vigilance. It has Eerie, it gets +1/+1 until end of turn. Okay, so you play one enchantment, it's a 2/4 flyer attacking with Vigilance. You play a couple of enchantments, it is much bigger. This seems fine. This seems fine. Nothing special, I think. It's pretty bad on the defense. It's a 1/3. Pretty bad against survival as well. It is 1/3 is so... if this was a 1/4, I would love the card. 1/4 just blocks. I would love this card. But it's not a 1/4. It's quite small, man. I'm just gonna give it a D+. I think when you have critical amount of doors, it gets better. It gets to like C or something. This is fine with Burn. I think it's gonna be really nice in the right deck. What do you think, Scotty?
I hate it. It's a 1/3. It's so small.
It's so small, yeah.
I mean, you invest what? You invest 3 mana, and your board, your blocks are pitiful. Like the best thing, I guess, is a double block with your 2-drop, and then what? Risk yourself getting Blina. I hate it. No, D.
D? Yeah, I can see it being a D, but I think in the right deck it's gonna present enough damage.
I mean, I would like to stack these, right? I would like to have multiples of these and then develop my enchantments to provide a clock. But then what? You're spending like 3 mana for each of these a piece, and they don't trigger each other?
Yeah, they don't trigger each other. That's huge.
Barf.
What about the next card, though?
So the next card is Tunnel Surveyor. Tunnel Surveyor is 2 and a blue. For a human detective, that's a 2/2. When Tunnel Surveyor enters, create a 1/1 white glimmer enchantment creature token. This is nice, you know, multiple bodies. There's nothing to sneeze at in terms of the flexibility that you're allowed in terms of blocking specifically. So typically cards that distribute their stats wide give you a little bit more flexibility in blocks. But it's definitely harder to punch through certain boards with them. But the important part here is that it gives you a nice enchantment. I think this is solid. I think this is a solid 3-drop. I think it's pretty desirable 3-drop.
Yeah.
Definitely not the most aggressive card, but I will give this one a C+.
Yeah, obviously, like if you the 2/2 and a 1/1 is fine, but if you need Eerie, that gets so much better. Man, I actually give this the last card a D from me as well. It's like this fucking 1/3. That's so small. It's just so small. It's way too small. Yeah, Tunnel Surveyor C+. I mean, it really depends how much you want the glimmers or enchantments.
I'm certainly not excited by the distinct lack of keywords here.
What is a manlet? Yeah.
It's shaming you for your size, Lola.
Oh, I thought so. Like my whole life. I mean, I like this. It's double body, but I don't think it's anything that special. I think I'm gonna go with a C+ as well. But you really need Eerie. You need Eerie with this. Like, I don't think you care about it too much, even being 2 bodies, if you don't have Eerie. Going wide is...
How did you like them? Sorry. Do you remember Kaladesh? Sorry, I guess Modern Horizons.
I remember Kaladesh.
Well, more recently inspired Inventor, right? It's like just a worse card than that. Like it makes an additional body of a relevant typing, right? That one made an artifact. This one makes an enchantment.
But
But
what is
it's
inspired
a 2/2 and a
inventor?
1/1. So it can add a counter. Oh, okay. Maybe that card's way too pushed to compare to. Compare it to the Kaladesh one that either adds a counter, fabricate one, adds a counter on itself, or makes a 1/1 servo.
Yeah, that was cool. Like it worked. I mean, it was okay.
Yeah, it's okay, right?
Maybe it was, but maybe it was a little bit lower power level format. Like sometimes you wanted a modified 3/3 creature, sometimes you wanted artifacts. Prickly Perils added something that was a +1/+0. I don't
I
know.
can see this being a C. It's not
Yeah,
super exciting.
yeah. I want to go with a C as well, but it gets higher in the deck that likes enchantments, obviously. It's no breeding champion or something like that, and I don't think you care much about going wide in this set. Can we read the next one? I gotta run to the bathroom real quick.
Okay, Reality Twist. Reality Twist is 1 blue for an instant. Choose one, counter a target spell, or manifest dread. Cancels on their own in limited, which is the, I guess the jargon term. Did the screen just crash? Did the stream just crash? My stream crashed. Hold up. Lola just literally crashed my stream by going to poop. No, never mind. Great, thank you. It was just on my end. Anyway, cancels, which is the jargon term for 3 mana counters, a spell, are typically very, very bad, right? There's definitely a cost for leaving open 3 mana on your opponent's turn, at risk of them not playing something that's worth countering. This is offset by the fact that you can just manifest dread if that fails, which frankly speaking is pretty good. It's pretty good. Having a bailout mode for something like that, pretty good, which I think boosts a, frankly speaking, very bad card into a perfectly fine card. So I would give it a C. I don't think either modes are particularly exciting, but the flexibility of them together I think makes this perfectly playable. The uncommon one. Let me find the uncommon one. You're not talking about Fear of Imposters, right? I don't know how I feel about Fear of Imposters. It's a weird card. I think Fear of Imposters is like slightly better. And I mean very, very slightly. It might actually be worse, you know, because like, okay, so here's the deal. It might actually be a little worse, because, well, we can talk about it when we get to Fear of Imposters. We don't have to talk about it now.
So I don't know anything that you said about this card. Okay, so it's either pretty
Then
bad.
rate it on your own.
No,
Talk about it.
It's a pretty bad counter spell, or it's a pretty bad creature. But it's kind of cool that it's instant speed, right? So if the opponent doesn't do anything, you can manifest dread, so it's not the end of the world. Like, manifest dread for 3 mana I think is bad. I think it's bad. It's like, you don't want a 2/2 for 3 mana. This is not a morph set where it's normal to get 2/2s for 3 mana. It's not. Yeah, and you don't even know if you can flip it. I mean, it's not that bad. I think it's like a D+. It's cool that when you don't have anything to counter in those developing phases, you can at least play a bad creature. So why not? What do you think, Scotty?
Oh, I give it a C. I think it's everything. I
Cool.
think we've oftentimes seen these cards that they have 2 forms of reactive or selective modes, right? This is one of the times that we see a card with a reactive and a somewhat proactive mode, and I think that what is it? The difference in terms of its effect is actually a really big deal for this. I actually really like this. Like I can imagine my decks running like 2 or 3 of these and being perfectly fine with them.
Yeah?
So this is a C for me. I think
There's
this card is good.
Oh, there's also gonna be an interesting thing, like when you have a lot of Manifest Dread, like how many there are a lot of non-creatures in this set, but how many can you run? Like, do you want like to...
Yeah, so there's a really interesting balance, and I think Simic, if Simic fails as an archetype, it's going to be because balancing Manifest Dread and actual real creatures, so that your Manifest Dreads don't suck, is going to be difficult, right? Because a lot of your things that Manifest Dread aren't creatures.
Yes.
So you can't like flip them up.
Yeah,
So,
basically...
I'm actually a little worried about Simic,
Yeah.
but
But for
We'll see.
green you have like 2 mana Manifest Dread. In Simic you have 2 mana Manifest Dread, so that's fine. Like you're getting a 2/2, it's okay. But it's also kind of vanilla 2/2 unless it's not. Yeah, I'm still on a D+. I think it's fine. It is weird. Like if you really care about Manifest Dread, you're gonna have less creatures than usual, I think. So that's a little bit of a problem. Clammy Prowler. For 3 and a blue, it's a 2/5. Whenever this thing attacks, another target attacking creature cannot be blocked this turn. Oh, it's not a crab. Yeah, this feels like shit. It's a 2/5 if it attacks badly. It blocks pretty badly as 4 mana 2/5, whatever. You can attack with basically anything. Yeah, I'm on a D-. Like you can, it's an enchantment creature, so that's kind of cool. It is an enchantment creature, so that is pretty cool. Yeah, blue with all the common ways to help Survivor, I guess, but yeah, it helps survivors. I don't care. I don't think I care. I guess a D because only because it's enchantment creature. It gets a D because it has a room there. It has a place there. I don't know. Sometimes you really want more enchantments.
D, this card stinks.
It is stinky, very stinky. Stat line, right? It is a stat line. Who wants the 2/5s for 4? And it's also the effect, like attacking with a fairly small creature to something else that cannot be blocked. How much better is the attacking effect and body of a 2/4 common in
White.
in white? Yeah, that gives +1/+0 indestructible. How much better is that?
Is that card?
Huh?
That card's like way better.
Yeah, that card is infinitely
That
better.
card's way better than this card.
Yeah, way better. And it's not like that card is completely broken, I think.
I think Phase Dolphin and Nicoria was an F, but that has other context about it.
What is the face dolphin?
3 mana 1/4. When it attacks, something else gets unblockable.
Oh yeah, I don't even know, man. That card was so shit. I never played it, and I played a lot of Mutate because I boycotted the Flare decks. Like I still have the emoticon. Like I played like Flare decks 3 times or something, and
then you boycotted it.
And then I like maybe 5 times, and I was like, nope, I'm not gonna play cycling ever again. This is the simplest.
Is that not?
Yeah.
Is that not the same emote that Deathsea had?
I don't think so.
Oh, okay. Was it your emote the whole time? I didn't know that. I attributed that emote to Deathsea this whole time. Sorry about that.
Oh, okay. Didn't Deathsea play cycling? No, he didn't. He also boycotted cycling.
I have no idea. But I don't know where I got this notion from. I've seen that emote a bunch though.
Yeah, I wonder if he's got it. He loved cycling. Okay, he loved cycling. I don't think it's his emote. He forced it all the time. Okay, yeah, that's my emote, man. I literally boycotted it. Like I was like, nope, I'm gonna have a good win rate and rank with this set without playing cycling, and it was a good win rate. And also got to #1 in Mythic, but I was playing mostly best of 3 then. So yeah, it's fuck cycling, man. And that 1/4 with this effect was still really bad, and I was playing a good amount of Mutate, Sacrifice or Mutate, and this type of card was bad. This is gonna be probably D-, but this is enchantment creature, so I guess. What about this one, man? Glimmer Burst?
Glimmer Burst, 3 and a blue, 4 mana instant. Draw 2 cards. Create a 1/1 white Glimmer enchantment creature token. This is lovely. So I actually really like the ability to buy yourself time, right? Like you could chump with this at its base level.
It's an enchantment?
You can enable area instant speed. One of the ways to do that. Fits in probably perfectly into your game plan of most Eerie decks, right? Of wanting to prolong the game and also get card advantage. I think this card is very important, actually. I think this card is very important. I'm gonna start this at a C+. I could see it going higher. I'm only giving it a C+ specifically because I'm not entirely sure how many for these 4 mana effects you can jam into the deck. So I'm not entirely sure like how aggressively you want to be snapping these up. But I do think it's good. I think it's a good card. I'm giving it a C+.
I think this is maybe the best blue card we've seen so far. What do you think?
I think it is the best blue card we've seen, yes.
It's instant speed. It makes a 1/1. It's like it's a flash 1/1 that draws you 2 cards. That's also an enchantment. That's freaking beautiful. I'm gonna be on a B minus. I'm gonna be on a B minus. I think I want to play a shit ton of these. I think I want to have a lot of these, like in my blue decks. And this is gonna be beautiful, beautiful with, where are you? With Unable to Scream, right? I play a lot of these card draw spells. And then I just like pay only 1 mana to not kill something, but kind of remove an attacking threat. Yeah. Huge. Making a body that triggers Eerie. I love this. How comparable is that to 3 blue, draw 3 cards? That is how close can you turn a 1/1 plus Eerie and trigger into an action card? I think this is better than 4 mana, draw 3 cards, right?
Yeah, so it depends on what axis your current game is about, right? And for the most part, if you're going to be in this style of deck, you don't necessarily want more cards, right? You don't get an extra bonus for having 5 more cards than your opponent by the end of the game, right? You just want to win the game.
Mm-hmm.
And the axis that these decks struggle with is surviving.
Yeah.
And developing the board. And this does both simultaneously draw you cards and develop the board at the same time. So it helps you in a much more important axis for your game plan.
I think this is one of the
than
best
drawing an
commons we've
additional
seen so
card.
far. Maybe is this maybe the best common that we've seen so far?
You're asking me to remember things. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, this could be maybe the best common we've seen so far. But why? But you gave a beam. Do you think that 3 mana removal in white with ward is better than this?
I gave that one a B minus.
Mm-hmm. The TV removal, yeah.
I think this one is slightly better, so I'll give this one a B minus as well.
Okay, here we go. There we go. Nice. Because I feel like this is the shit. There's like, it's the worst case scenario. It's like 1/1. It's 4 mana, draw 2 cards, gain life equal to the biggest attacker that the opponent has. That's the worst case scenario probably. And then it's like 1/1 is a real creature, and you care about Eerie, you care about enchantments, and also enable some double blocks. I love this, man. I love this. Beautiful, beautiful card. Yeah, very excited. I love when blue gets good card draw effects. Make some maybe grindy strategies possible. Next up, Vanish from Sight. For 3 and a blue, it's an instant. Target non-land permanent owner. Non-land permanent's owner puts it on the top or bottom of their library. Surveil 1. Surveil 1. It's kind of cool that that's 4 mana and this is 4 mana and these are instants, but it's Surveil 1. Oh, my god. Surveil 1 is so shit, but it's not a bad card. But it's a huge difference if this costs 1. If this was Surveil 2, that would be crazy. If Surveil 1, I don't care too much about it. It is disappointing, I think. You can target your own stuff? Yeah, that's pretty good. C minus. 4 mana is too much, I think. 3 mana cards like this are great.
Yeah, C minus.
Yeah, Surveil 1 is such a small thing to get from like a card like this. Surveil 2 is huge. Really gives you selection. We got a door, our first room in blue.
This is Underwater Tunnel and Slimy Aquarium. Underwater Tunnel is blue, 1 mana total, and Slimy Aquarium is 3 and a blue, 4 mana total. Underwater Tunnel says, when you unlock this door, Surveil 2. Slimy Aquarium says, when you unlock this door, manifest Dread, then put a +1/+1 counter on that creature. At 4 mana, you get a 3/3, but it's a manifested Dread creature.
Kinda bad.
So you fill your graveyard by 1, and you have an increased chance of actually hitting a relevant creature that you can flip up. Obviously, the +1/+1 counter stays when you flip up, so if you hit a flyer, you get a +1/+1 counter on that creature even after flip, which is kind of nice. I like that Underwater Tunnel can help you hit your land drops early. I like that it can help smooth out your developing stages without interrupting your tempo too much. So I think that's appealing. There's a lot of small bits about this card where this is not the most exciting card in the world, but I do think it's solid. I think this is a solid room. Of course, all rooms are inherently good Eerie enablers. They're all 2-in-1, right? The first time you play it, and the second time you unlock it. So I think this is good. I actually like this. I think this will do enough to give you agency and pay you off enough for just having at least a body for when you unlock the Slimy Aquarium. So I'm actually going to give this a C+. It's pretty close to a C for me, but I like it enough. C+.
Yeah, like both parts are nothing that special. They're like surreal 2-for-1, easy to get in. It works with enchantments, right? It works with Delirium. It works with Manifest Dread when you need the face down creatures in Simic probably. And it also works with Sacrifice if you need to sacrifice an enchantment. I think everything sacrifices an enchantment. Everything can sacrifice an enchantment, so that's nice. I think I'm gonna be on a sorry about that. I think I'm gonna be on a C+ as well. Nothing is that great here, but it kind of fits in everything. So I think it's gonna be a good card. It just like requires other things. It's on its own. I'm not a huge fan. But yeah, you can even for 5, like you can actually get a creature here that you want. That's kind of okay. But I think for 5, maybe you just want to pay 4 and then Surveil to get good draws.
Well, can you read the next one too? I'll be right back.
Yeah, this might go down. But I think in the decks that care about enchantments, sacrifice, and face down, it's always a good role player. Like just kind of safe to get, and then have those synergies. Next up, we got Dagger Mo Megalodon. For 4 and double blue, it's a 5/7 vigilance, and it has island cycling for 2. 6 mana, 5/7 vigilance. Not that bad, not that good as well. Island cycling. Wait, this is AI design? Really? I don't think I have to mention this much. Like, if it's not a very good creature, island cycling for 2 is pretty bad. Because you gotta pay 2. I guess it's okay, reanimate target, all of these. It's also double blue, so it's not that great for splashing. I don't know why they didn't make them just single blue. These creatures are not very good. I'm just on a D. I'm just on a D.
Vigilance is big. It's a big boy.
It's a
This is a
6
big
drop.
boy. That's a big boy for a 6-drop. This is an okay 6-drop. Also fits kind of into game plan of being able to at least get in while defending yourself. It's a huge butt. You give it a D+?
D.
Or D? D?
Mm-hmm.
C-.
Wow.
I'm in.
Okay. Hope it's good.
I like this cycler most because of the play patterns that we can see.
What are the play patterns?
There's a lot of instant speed stuff to do in blue. And I don't mind. I don't mind holding up the mana and then cycling end of turn. I'm in.
Yeah, but then if you if you need to cycle, you're still gonna have to pay 2 next turn.
Huge.
Yeah.
Huge card.
I don't think it's good. Well, I hope it's good. If it's good, then it means that like slower decks are good. So I hope you're correct, but I don't see it.
Meat Locker and the Drowned Diner. Meat Locker is 2 and a blue for 3 mana. Drowned Diner is 3 blue, 5 mana total. Meat Locker is when you unlock this door, tap up to 1 target creature and put 2 stun counters on it. Drowned Diner is when you unlock this door, draw 3 cards, then discard a card. This one's weird for me. So both these effects are pretty whatever. Locking down a creature for 2 turns is certainly is pretty relevant, right? You can play this on 2-drop, 3-drop, and that thing is definitely locked down until you can sort of get your feet under you. Drowned Diner feels like something you can't play until much, much later. So we're like, this definitely doesn't help you smooth your draws, but it can certainly help you bridge the gap from the end of the developmental phase of the game into, hey, I will definitely win the late game at least. Or I'll be much more likely to win the late game at least. So that's all right. It's just a little clunky. And all in all, I don't hate that. So I think I'm giving this a solid C.
Yeah, I want to see as well.
Solid C for me.
See. Like, and again, it does work well with if you care about enchantments, and it works well if you care about sacrificing things. You just realize you're in the same room? That took you some time. Yeah. It's like because of all the extra things that you can do with it, right? And it does slow down the game a little bit, so you can play out your things. And again, I think it works super well with the one mana card that makes something a 0/2.
Able to scream.
Yeah. Like it feels like that's gonna be good. Like you have so many good card draw spells. I'm small. Well, I don't know. If you think 120 centimeters is small, then I guess I am small. And I'm fine with it. And I'm fine with that. So I don't need this. These are blue commons. A lot of like with a 3/3 with a 3/3 defender, with a 1 mana make something a 0/2 abilities, and with all of that good card draw, is nice. Yeah, I think a lot of times blue feels like it doesn't really work well with itself, which is something you really need a good color to do. Every time you have a really good color, it works well with itself, right? It doesn't need help. Because every time you need help from other colors, you could not get it, right? You start with blue, and then you're like, oh shit, now I'm black, I need these cards to make my deck good. But I think blue just works, blue commons work well with itself, and then you just build on top of that. That is always a power, a big power in a color. For example, green in Bloombarrow. The cards just work well with themselves. Sure, it's gonna be better when you get into black, blue, white, whatever. I guess red. But it's not like you're gonna have a bad deck if you're green in first pack and half of the second pack. Same for blue, I think. What do you think, Scotty?
Piranha Fly sucks.
Piranha Fly, yeah, it's not that good.
Which I think is it is really the sore thumb. The rest of the commons do sort of work towards the same goal, except for Piranha Fly.
Yeah, I don't know what that card is about, like the 2/1 flyer that stepped. Nah, I'm not sure. That just like feels like randomly put in. Feels like old times where you randomly have creatures that don't really make sense in the card. They're just like there. It's the same for the Piranha Fly. All right, next up, uncommon. Scrabbling Skullcrab. I can read it. For a blue, you get a creature, Crab Skeleton. It's 0/3, and whenever you trigger Eerie, target player mills 2 cards. Okay, this could be very oppressive. Okay, this could actually be like you have 2 of these. That's a game plan. Like you're drawing a ton of cards already. It's so easy for you to play a lot of enchantments, and you can just mill out the opponent. So maybe you mill yourself, right? If you need the delirium or something. If you get multiples of this, I think that multiples of this is a real thing. I think it's so much easier than to trigger a landfall or something like that. This is weird, like sometimes this is gonna be a D-, and sometimes this is gonna be a B+. So I'm gonna be like on a C base grade. And ceiling of a B? Scotty?
I mean, how so I think how we should approach a card like this, because these cards are always the same, right? Is how highly do you want to speculate on this, trying to like move in? Are you happy first picking this card and trying to do the thing? Because like I think averaging the grade is probably less useful than saying when do you move in.
I don't think there is moving in. I don't think this card changes the way you draft your deck.
I mean, what do you? It's an opportunity cost during the draft. So like, do you take this over, like unable to scream because you might get there? Like, at what point do you do that?
I'm not sure. I mean, actually, I think you just pick this at any point, and you're like, okay, I'm gonna have the 4 mana draw to make an enchantment. I'm gonna have 2 blue rooms that are enchantment plus open a room. I'm gonna have like a 2/2 that makes a 1/1 glimmer, and that's all in blue. I'm gonna have like a lot of enchantment and card draw to play more enchantment. And this triggers any amount of times. I'm gonna have a 0-2. That's unable to scream. Does it make opponent a 0-2? Like, I'm gonna have that. Like, I think this just gonna work in blue decks as an alternative.
I'm asking you if like if it's pack one, pick one, are you taking this over unable to scream? Like, do you take this first, or do you start your way down the road of having that sort of engine-like deck?
Really depends on how good it's gonna be.
A little later.
I feel like you can take this first.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You want to give it a higher grade to reflect that rather than a C?
I can give it a C+. I can give it a C+. And
Okay,
maybe...
give me a C.
Okay. I like this. I feel this is really good. All right. This is interesting. Like, this is...
Fear of Isolation, 1 and a blue for an enchantment creature, Nightmare. It's a 2/3. As an additional cost to cast a spell, return a permanent you control to its owner's hand and has flying. This is interesting. Obviously, you can rebuy into the battlefield effects. It's hard to see this unless your deck is well suited for it. It's hard to see this as a 2-drop, right? Because what you don't want to do is return to land. You don't want to do that.
Yeah,
that's bad. Luckily, a 2/3 flyer in the mid to late game is still a relevant card. It's still decent. You know, it's not amazing or anything, but oftentimes when you draw a 2/3 flyer later in the game, it's fine. But this has a decent amount of upside. I like this card a decent amount. I'll give this a C+.
Yeah, like you need eerie triggers most of the time, or you need ETB, I guess, or rooms. Like rooms are a lot of times just great to get back. When you have no land drop, is 1 mana 2/3. Yeah, I guess. I'm also gonna go on a C+, but sometimes this is gonna be real shit. But I think a good amount of times, the big deal is that it's also enchantment creatures, so it's just like super eerie triggers. And yeah, you can, if you have 2 of these, you just spam eerie, right? So that's kind of cool. Have a crab and 2 of these, it's like 2 mana mill, 2 mana mill, 2. Not bad. Yeah, okay, C+, but I can see it being much lower, like, cause it, I don't know, it's so hard, I don't know, like this is trouble sometimes. Sometimes it's just really bad when you need to block and stuff. You can also move make something a 0/2 to other creatures. That's kind of cool. Okay. C. I'm gonna go to a C. Like sometimes this is gonna feel really bad. Move it down to a C from me. Next up, Floodpit's Drowner. For 1 and a blue, it's a 2/1 Flash Vigilance. When this enters, tap target creature an opponent controls and put a stun counter on it. And for 1 and a blue, and a tap, shuffle this thing and target creature with a stun counter on it into their owner's libraries. Wait, that's pretty good. So you get a flash 2 mana 2/1 that puts a stun counter somewhere. So it's if you're defending yourself, it's kind of like not having flash and putting 2 stun counters. Because now that thing is tapped for 2 turns. But you can also remove that creature from the game for 2+2. You can't do it right away though. You cannot do it right away. Because it doesn't have haste. I mean, this feels really nice. I'm on a C+ or a B-? C+? What do you think? B-? What do you think, Scotty? Talk me.
I think it's a B.
A B?
I think it's a B.
I don't think it does enough.
You can meat lock or something and remove a larger creature later in the game too. Like this early game will definitely okay, both of you are curving out. You have a Floodpit's Drowner, your opponent is just playing creatures.
Yeah.
There's no way your opponent's gonna out aggro you that game. You know, you just shut down for like a full 2 turn cycles. You just shut down one of like the few creatures that they're developing. Right? So it's crazy. Late game, you remove anything.
What do you mean you remove?
I don't know what more you want.
I mean, but it doesn't. The best part is when you're not removing something, but it's a pretty nice option to have. There are
You
also
can even scale up. There's other stun counters.
yeah, there are other stun counters to do it later. And B minus, okay. You don't want to tap survival, right?
Yeah. That's rich.
So that's something. Can you put? Does anything put stun counters on your creatures so you just tap some survival and keep getting shit? Or is it always on opponent controls?
Dream Do Enhancer. Entrancer.
Okay. We're gonna get to that one, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Alright, B minus
Do
from me.
Entrancer.
B minus. Like, it's really good in those developing phases. Wait, what is Dream Entrancer?
Oh, you don't remember? Oh, it's the frog that puts 3 stun counters and draw 2 cards
Ah,
from
okay. I switched to this set. Alright, yeah. Can the room put stun counters on your creatures? Because blue feels like really good for the green uncommons and white uncommons that have survival. Alright, next up.
Mute blocker. Oh no, okay, sorry. Get out. Blue. Instant. Choose one. Counter target creature or enchantment spell, or return 1 or 2 target creatures and or enchantments you control to your hand. Yeah, this is hard to cast. It's difficult to cast. It has an okay mode of rebuying into the battlefields. Overall, I'm really not into just this for the conditional counter. I think this is just a D for me.
Counters a lot of things. It's kind of cool that you can return stuff as well. It can do a lot more stuff with Eerie. Like quite a lot more.
There's like way better ways to get value.
Yeah.
Than okay, like if we're in the late game, I'm just holding this as a counter.
Yeah.
I don't really see when I'm bouncing 2 things.
Bounce 2 rooms, I mean, to open them again. 4 rooms.
I guess if you have absolutely nothing, but I feel like I'd just be drawing 2 cards and making glimmers and stuff. But I guess if you have nothing else,
If you have nothing
you
else,
could.
Yeah, I don't feel this one. I'm on a D plus though. I don't think it's fine, but not a high pick. 2 blue is always hard. And there are enough things that are sorceries and instant in this set. There are like quite a lot good sorceries and instants, even though nothing cares about them. Paranormal Analyst. For 1 and a blue, it's a 1/3. Whenever you manifest dread, put a card you put into your graveyard this way into your fucking hand, man. Holy, Simic has some support. Holy. You really need Manifest Dread, right? But all of a sudden, like every Manifest Dread you have is a crazy card? How about... I mean, how many Manifest Dreads do you really... So, how many Manifest Dreads? I'm trying to find it. Like, how much do Manifest Dread? There are like 3 cards in green. 2 cards in blue, but I don't think one of them is that good. There's a really good white card. There's a fine black card. That's common though. And there's a good amount of uncommons. There's a decent amount of colorless. There is no colorless Manifest Dread. 1/3 for 2 mana is kind of whatever. What? There is no common. There is an uncommon Manifest Dread in colorless. I'm talking about commons. I mean, okay, this card has to have a ceiling, right? It's kind of garbage if it doesn't. Like, I think you take it as a C. And a ceiling is a B. What do you think, Scott?
I would speculate on this way higher. I would take it as a B minus.
Ooh.
I mean, I can see this going way down if all the so the condition where I can see this going way down is if all the Manifest Dread cards are highly desirable and they all get snapped up in like the first 5 picks, and then you can't, like, everyone gets very little. But
I don't think they're that desirable.
Okay, well then I'm speculating this on B minus, and I'm okay with the ceiling B.
There are good uncommons with Manifest Dread, but there are some commons. Alright, so ceiling is a B?
Yep.
Yeah, okay. Skara.
Next card is Stay Hidden, Stay Silent. 1 in a blue, 2 mana total for an enchantment aura. Enchant creature. When Stay Hidden, Stay Silent enters, tap enchanted creature. Enchanted creature doesn't untap during its controller's untap step. You can pay 4 blue or 6 mana to shuffle enchanted creature into its owner's library, then manifest dread. Activate only as a sorcery. Your opponent's creature retains its abilities, but it can't engage in combat. 6 mana is a lot, but it's a nice mode to have. Sorcery is kind of unfortunate on it. I see this all as fine. You know, it's 2 mana, get something out of the way. Sometimes it's going to be a little bit awkward if there's a persisting effect that you really need to get rid of. Because like if there's a persisting effect that you want to get rid of that's affecting the board, you have to then wait until 6 mana in order to handle it. A little on the rough side. But if you look at this card in broad scope, assuming you have infinite time, it is kind of sort of a 2-for-1, right? You remove the creature, you get a manifested dread yourself. Not bad. Not bad. I think this one for me is a C. Hold on. I'm gonna give it a C+. I'm gonna give it a C+. I think for this effect it's pretty decent. So C+ for me for Stay Hidden, Stay Silent.
What if you... Oh! What if you tap one of your... the green or green and... You can do it on your own thing. Huh?
You said a bunch of words and I don't understand what you said.
You can put this on your own thing that has survival.
now you're surviving.
No.
Hey, that's actually flavorful.
That's pretty cool.
That's actually perfect flavor. Yeah.
I mean, it's like, let's think about it. It is late game sometimes. You have, I don't know, the guy that manifests dread every time you survive. Or that makes you a 3/3 from a land. And then you just put it there. Not much else to do. And you just keep doing that. Okay? If you don't have anything to remove. It's I think it's gonna happen sometimes. Sometimes. Not a lot of times. Also, the more I look at the blue cards, the more manifest dread I see, the more card draw I see, the more I want... you know the 6 mana 4/4 that for 2 mana you can get back cards from your graveyard to your library? The more I want that creature to be like something smaller and better. Like, I don't know, 3 mana 2/3 with reach and changeling, for example. Because I feel like in this set, I'm probably going to be playing that card, the 6 mana 4/4. I'm probably going to be putting it in. But if it was a little bit smaller creature, easier to use, it would be so much better. Because I think it's so easy. Like, Manifest Dread is like always you lose 2 cards from the library. And then card draw, like you lose 2 or 3 cards from the library. And then you have Surveil, and you have some mill as well, in green only. It really feels like you can mill yourself out in this set. And then you can have a strategy of just like milling yourself out and then continue getting the best cards back. You gave this a B-?
No, C+.
I want to see. I'm not quite big on that one. Maybe it is a C+. That's Sam Black's strats. Yeah, I've been taken over by those strats. Like, I want to always try to make them work now. Little man wants to play a big boy game. Well, I think we can do that. We can do that. Maybe it is a C+. Like, how much is this worse than the make something a 0/2?
Yes.
Because it is, right? Because that's 1 mana, right?
Well, this fits a little bit better if you're aggressive.
Yeah, this does. I'm gonna be on a C for this one. I think it's okay. Cursed Windbreaker. For 2 and a blue, when it enters the battlefield, you manifest dread and attach this thing to that creature. Equipped creature has flying. For 3 mana you can equip. So you get a 2/2 flyer and you mill a card, and you can move this to give other things flying. Feels fine. Feels fine. It's still a small creature that you're getting, so that kind of sucks. It's okay. I think it's a C. I hate Windrakes. I think those are weak as shit. But I guess you can move this to give other things flying. So, yeah, I can see it being worse than a D. Oh, sorry, than a C. Probably it's worse than a C. I don't think this is what Blue is trying to do.
Windrakes suck.
Windrakes really suck.
C minus.
Yeah, give it a C minus from me as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of surprising that Finch Formation was the best common, but that was just an exception. But C minus for Chris Windbreaker.
What is the pinch formation?
Finch Formation from Bloomborough.
Tell me what it is.
It's the 3 mana 2/2 offspring for 3.
Oh my god, that's why I don't remember it. Wait, you think that's a good card?
It's the best blue common.
Wait, the 3 mana 2/2 that makes something else flying. No, it's let me see you. What do you mean? I have never put that card in my deck ever. Literally 0 times it was in my deck.
Missing out, bub. Anyway.
No, wait. That was the best blue common? What?
No, Finch Formation sucks.
Oh.
Windrakes suck.
Oh.
But
Oh my god. I don't even know the name of the card, guys. I don't even know.
I put the card in my deck once and I almost wanted to resign my deck.
Oh my god. Okay. Whew. That was good. Let's go to the next card.
Oh, this one's weird. Fear of Imposters. 1 blue, 3 mana for a 3/2 enchantment creature nightmare with flash. When Fear of Imposters enters, counter target spell. Its controller manifests dread. We were thinking about this a little bit when you were on the pooper, because we were trying to compare this to the 1 blue cancel that you can manifest dread. I think this card is worse. I think this card is worse than that one. I hate how much I was saying before. I hate how much agency it gives your opponent here, right? Just on its face, you have a 3/2 that can technically trade with your opponent's manifested dread creature, right? So it's not even like you're getting any ahead or bonus on board, but they also get to decide, and they have the informational advantage because they've seen more, right? You're countering a spell, and you're giving your opponent another piece of information that they can then leverage over you, whether or not they want to trade their manifested dread creature or not, which is rough. You're also filling their graveyard. They get agency about what they put in the graveyard. You can the only upside that this has is you can trigger area instant speed, which I don't really care about. I think this card stinks. I think this is D+.
How does this stink so much when you really like the counterspell? So,
I think this is way better. I think the counterspell is better than this card.
All right, so let's think. Same mana cost, right? So if you're not countering something, then here you're getting a 3/2 enchantment creature, which I think is better than manifesting dread.
It is.
It is. So you're getting a better.
A tiny bit. Yeah, tiny bit.
And it's a good amount better, like, because it's also enchantment, right? You care about Eerie.
Yeah, probably offsets the fact that you can fill your graveyard. And then you get an extra point of power, which is a big deal.
And if you counter
So
something,
yeah, this body's better.
and if you counter something, nobody gets anything, right? That's the other counter spell, right? You just counter, nobody gets anything.
Yeah.
Here
Nobody gets any.
You get a better creature than them. So isn't this like every case is better than the counter spell?
I think the countering and getting nothing is better than this. I mean, for the reasons I spent my time explaining.
Why? But I don't understand still.
Do you want me to repeat what I said?
Maybe in different words.
Okay. I don't love that your opponent has the agency about whether or not they can trade off with your Fear of Imposters or choose to trade off, right? Because like in reality, a 2/2 and a 3/2 trade.
Yeah.
But your opponent has the informational advantage over you about what to do with that manifested creature.
But
And I hate anything that gives your opponent agency to leverage over you.
wait, but didn't we already
Because
say
then
that a 3/2 is better than Manifest Dread?
I think it's fundamentally different whether or not you're manifesting dread, right? Because then you evaluate it based on your decisions versus your opponent manifesting dread and your opponent having information over you. One is self-contained within your side of the board. A 3/2 is really easy to evaluate versus a manifest dread because all the information is in your control. But now the game changes completely when your opponent is manifesting dread and there's a piece of unknown information that you don't have access to.
But you got Eerie activation.
You did get an Eerie activation.
So like, doesn't matter about that trade. Like you're still doing better than your opponent with Eerie. I mean, there's not that much Eerie.
You don't exactly know.
No.
And this is completely, so you get an Eerie activation, sure, but then we can also argue niche cases like your opponent cares about manifesting dread. That would be a nightmare.
Yeah, that is true. Doesn't feel that bad. I mean, I'm gonna just give it a D+. I think it's fine.
Hey, this would count for big fight same grade.
Was this a fight?
It wasn't really a fight, but
Yeah. I don't think it was a fight. I was not against your grade, really. But it could count there. We didn't have a bingo for this one. Unnerving Grasp for 2 and a blue. Sorcery return up to 1 target non-land permanent to its owner's hand and manifest dread. Well, that's fucked. I gotta say, manifest dread cards don't work well with manifest dread cards. So it does feel like the more manifest dread you have, the more likely you are not to hit a creature. But they are also really fucking good with Delirium. They're really, really good with Delirium. This card is amazing. This card is maybe the best card I've seen so far. So it's like a B or a B+. What do you think? Is it a B or a B+ card? There's no way we're gonna go lower than that, right?
I'm okay with a B+.
I'm okay with a B+ as well.
I mean, so if anyone hasn't played with this type of effect before, Chad is mentioning Mana War, more recently Exclusion Mage, things of that effect. Like, you're not unhappy popping this off on a 2-drop in the developmental stages of the game. It's huge, you know. You just set your opponent back so much, and you also develop at the same time. It doesn't matter what you bounce. It doesn't matter what you bounce. You're getting such a big board swing on your side.
Blue
Very
has no
nice. I'm giving
Delirium.
this a B+.
But with red, green, or black, like these manifest dread cards are just crazy good with Delirium. It's just like, that's so fucking good. Like you're getting lands there. You're getting sorcery or instant speed all the time.
You can buy back a room of yours.
What?
You can buy back a room of yours. It does everything.
Yeah, I guess you can do that as well. That's beautiful. B+, sure. Yeah, that's the best uncommon I think so far.
Unwilling Vessel, 2 and a blue. For a 3/2 human wizard, has vigilance. Eerie, put a possession counter on Unwilling Vessel. When Unwilling Vessel dies, create an XX blue spirit creature token with flying, where X is the number of counters on Unwilling Vessel. Okay, so on its own, right? 3/2 vigilance, whatever, trades with anything. But let's say maybe you can get like it's going to be hard to even get like a single hidden in the beginning with this. But once you start getting the Eerie rolling, like even 2 counters, you're getting a very good body.
Even
on
one, even one is fine.
Yeah, even 1, and then it just goes up from there. And vigilance is actually pretty key for that case, because once you get into that state where you have, you know, the 2, 3, 4 counters, and your opponent never wants to trade with this, you can force the issue by continuing to attack, right? You can continue to pressure, and you can defend yourself at the same time. So what? They're not going to block it, and what? They don't want to attack into you. They're going to have to do something about this eventually. So vigilance here is actually massive. I think this card is quite strong. I'm giving this a B.
Man, it feels to me like blue kind of works well with everything. So blue is not a delirium color at all, but it's super good with delirium, I think. Really good with eerie. Good with survival. Blue might be just jack of all trades. What do you give this? I'm okay with a B or a B plus even. Let's start it with a B. Let's start it with a B. This is great. This is really good. Ghostly Keybearer. 3 and a blue. It's a 3/3 flyer. When it deals combat damage to a player, unlock a locked door of up to one target room you control. Okay. 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 This can get you 5. This can get you 5 mana. Like, or 4 mana.
Or 7 mana.
Okay, yeah, or 7 mana. Like this can
Or 1 mana.
you don't. Why do you need unblockable creature? It already has evasion. This is. Does this even need sealing? Like blue has a lot of rooms.
Or 2 mana.
How about 3?
Never 3.
Never 3. You don't want unblockable creature with this. If you really need it to get through and opponent has reach on flyers, you have a 1 mana thing that makes it unblockable. I mean, imagine just cheating any mana with this. Like 4 or 5 is crazy powerful. I am on a B for this one. Because it's on its own, it's nothing that special. But when it's not on its own, it is kind of crazy.
I mean, don't you want to give this a ceiling then?
What, a B plus? Sure.
I'm going B minus B plus.
Sure. I'm liking blue. I'm liking blue a lot. A lot of things to think about. It's not just like...
Fear of being interrupted.
And you're gonna get interrupted again.
I'm just kidding, go.
Blue is not just... it really doesn't feel like it's just like, oh, crazy powerful creatures and everything, you just play them and win. Like, you need to think about what you're doing, but it does everything kind of well if you make a right deck. Oh man, I cannot wait to play this set. Okay, sorry, let's go.
Fear of failed tests. 4 and a blue. 5 mana total. For an enchantment creature Nightmare, it's a 2/7. Whenever Fear of failed tests deals combat damage to a player, draw that many cards. This is you're not punching this through normally, unless you have a huge surplus of removal. You also, I mean, there's also the 1 mana cantrip that can help get this through. Overall, it's hard for me to imagine wanting this card specifically in this slot, you know, a pretty high demand, high mana value slot over something else, even in my more controlling decks. Sure, it can block, right? Sure, it has a high upside and you can dream about it. But I don't think this is something that you would like to be building around, you know? Like, I feel like a normal draft is not going to tend in the direction where Fear of Failed Tests is a great card in your deck. So I'm going to give this a D.
I'm going to give it a D as well. Like, even with a 1 mana unblockable. It's like that. Then that means that your 5-drop is attacking. And that it could whiff if they have removal. but that kills your freaking 5-drop. It also means that your 5-drop is attacking, but it's not dealing a lot of damage. So it's just like letting other creatures get through for drawing cards. This seems really bad. Blue seems like a horrible color. It seems amazing so far to me. Like, it feels really powerful. Fear of Falling. For 3 and double blue, it's a 4/4 flyer. When it attacks, target creature defending player controls gets -2/-0 and loses flying until your next turn. Okay, so that kind of helps you attack with flyers or anything. It is a 4/4 flyer for 5, which is air elemental, which is not that crazy anymore. It's enchantment creature. That's like the biggest thing. So if you care about Eerie. Scotty, I don't know. I don't know about this one, man. Yeah. Even if you have Eerie, I don't think I care too much about it. No. I'm on a D plus, on a D plus. Don't care.
C minus for me. Yeah, it's whatever. I think this is really replaceable.
Yeah.
Well, D plus is probably more accurate, to be honest. Like, I don't think you want to pick this up early in a draft at all, just considering that it's not difficult to pick up 5s or things that will help you win when the game goes longer. I don't think this blocks particularly well. And it just slots into a replaceable finisher role. So D+ for me.
You want a good amount of like early drops in blue because you have so much good card draw.
Wait, hold up. C-.
Why?
This actually defends you against flyers pretty well. Sorry, it's not until their turn. It's until your next turn. So it's actually kind of nice at that.
Oh, it's until your next turn. Oh.
Actually, I might give this a C.
Oh,
That's actually pretty good.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Oh, that's really good.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm gonna give this
Yeah, we
a
should
C.
read the card.
C+. I'm gonna give this C+.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks for it, sound. Thank you very much. Yeah, I'm on a C+ for this one. This is great. This is actually great. This like, yeah, this makes their attacks, and like when this attacks, it protects you against flyers. When this attacks, it protects against flyers. Even if they don't have a flyer, like -2/-0 means it's like a planeswalker ability. It protects you. Like it means that one of their things is not attacking almost always. Oh, this is great. This is great. I'm on a B-. Oh. I keep going. B-. It's also an enchantment. This card is amazing. From a D+, just because of until your next turn, from a D+ to a B-. That's how much of a difference that makes. Scotty, where are you? I'm on a B-, man.
I go C+. It's good though.
Holy, this is good. This is very good. Can I get a B? I could see this being a B. It is one of the best 5-drops in the game. It has to... I don't give a fuck that it has to attack. It has to attack is a problem for 5-drops when that attack doesn't protect you. Because now your 5-drop is tapped, and if you need to block, you're not doing well. But this thing, it makes you get... it defends you while attacking.
It also attacks really well. It's really hard to block this.
Yeah.
Like even if you're trying to block this like with a flyer, right? You just can't. So it's actually really, really good at attacking. And I'm gonna go up to B-. I'll join you.
Yeah. Like
Very good.
it attacks and helps you block at the same time. Without vigilance, without it having to block. Very nice.
The next is a Bottomless Pool and Locker Room. Bottomless Pool is a blue, 1 mana total, and Locker Room is 4 and a blue, 5 mana total. Bottomless Pool is when you unlock this door, return up to 1 target creature to its owner's hand. Locker Room is whenever 1 or more creatures you control deal combat damage to a player, draw a card. This is nice. 1 mana bounce, even at sorcery speed. So, hold on. 1 mana bounce at sorcery speed, bad. Locker Room, draw when you hit your opponent, bad, right? But combined, it's actually quite nice. So we've seen, well, it's hard to say we've seen effects like this, but this will help you bridge, right, to your late game. It can also help punch your creatures through to trigger Locker Room. You can also play them in any order, right? You can develop Locker Room, maybe get a flyer through, and then later on when they have block set up, Bottomless Pool is such a cheap way to get something out of the way and draw additional cards. I think this is good. This is good at helping you bridge that developing stage to the late game, and it's also pretty dang good in the late game if you do have the evasion for it. But this is solid. I'm giving this a B-.
I can see a B-, but let's start with a C+, because the Locker Room is really medium, I think. Blue has a lot of ways to draw cards, and this is one of the worst ones, I think, because you do have to connect. But yeah, okay, man, the more I see blue, the more I'm gonna be playing that 6 mana 4/4 flyer, even though it's horrible. It's like one of the worst ones that I have ever seen with that kind of effect. But I'm gonna be playing that. Okay. Duskmourn's Domination. For 4 and double blue, enchant creature. You control the enchanted creature. Enchanted creature gets -3/-0 and loses all abilities. Oh. Okay. I'm happy. I am happy with this. It's too much to pay 6 mana for like in Bolas Clutches or something like that on uncommon and just control the enchanted creature. That is way too much. In a set that also likes Eerie. That's like way too much. You're killing the best thing they have and you're playing the best thing they have. That is way too much. But it's not bad. It is not bad. it gets you a blocker, right? It's a removal that gets you a blocker. But it's also not very good because they can also remove it and that blocker is pretty fucking weak. So I don't think this is what you care about in blue. I'm a big fan of mind control. This one is a little bit different. There is enchantment hate, right? I mean, I didn't really see many. Is there enchantment hate?
There's certainly some. There's a modal card in green. There's an insect in green, both at uncommon, I believe. And I guess the third one.
There's trapped in the screen, I guess. There is not.
Trapped in the screen can hit this.
I mean, on common there is basically nothing, right? On common there is one card, I think. And that's trapped in the screen. But there's also bounce, I guess. I'm not a big fan. Black has one? Black has something on common. On common? I don't think it has. Not a big fan of this one. I'm gonna be on a D+.
I'm on a C-. Yeah, I think even despite that, the board before and after you cast a spell will look different enough where you'd be reasonably happy that you spent 6 mana. So C-. I don't think you need to go out of your way for this.
Yeah. Okay. Onto the rares and mythics in blue. Blue, so far, very nice. Next up, Daddy.
Hold on, let me pull it up on Scryfall. Silent Hall Creeper, 1 in a blue. For a 1/1 enchantment creature horror. Silent Hall Creeper can't be blocked. Whenever Silent Hall Creeper deals combat damage to a player, choose one that hasn't been chosen. Put 2+1/+1 counters on Silent Hall Creeper. Draw a card. And Silent Hall Creeper becomes a copy of another target creature you control. I got a rules question. I'm sure someone's answered this because people have been thinking about this, at least for Constructed. Can you choose the third mode and not have a target? Or can you only legally choose the third mode with a legal target?
I think you cannot choose it, I think. Maybe it just fizzles? No, you need to have a target, right?
So what happens? So what legally happens if you use the first 2 modes, but you only have this? Does it go on the stack at all? So what happens? Okay, so you attack with this. You already used the first 2 modes. Does that mode get used up, or it doesn't trigger? And then you play a creature afterwards. Then does it? Okay, and then it'll copy. It's yeah, okay.
The mode
it doesn't even trigger.
Yeah, that it feels like that.
Okay. So it'll save until you have a creature to copy. Okay. Just trying to figure out how this card actually works.
You imagine if you have like a survival creature to copy.
Yeah. I mean, this card is good. This card is really solid. For 2-drop. This is like a grown test, or this is a grown card for me. You know, your opponent plays it, and you're like, okay, well, I literally cannot interact with this card. It's gonna get them a decent amount of value, and it's gonna actually clock me pretty hard, and then it's gonna create just like a good creature.
You can interact with this card.
Like you. Well, okay, in combat, you can't interact with it in combat. You know, you can't just play normal creatures and block.
Yeah.
Which is it's a big part of Magic, blocking. But it draws you a card, it clocks your opponent, and then it becomes a large version of like your 4 or 5 drop that you play afterwards. What the heck? I mean, that's like super duper strong.
Yeah.
This card is extremely good. This is a B+ for me.
Yeah, B+, A-. I'm gonna start with a B+ as well, but it's pretty bomby. It's crazy for a 2-drop. It is pretty crazy. If it would probably be better if you didn't have to choose the third mode, right? This would be just straight up bomb if you didn't have to choose the third mode. Because like 3/3 unblock.
If it was an option.
Yeah.
Oh well, it's a pretty slow top deck for an A for me.
No.
But it's a 2-drop.
2-drop.
So that's pretty wild.
High B+, very close to A- from me. I think it could be A-. Abhorrent Oculus for 2 and a blue. As an additional cost to cast this spell, exile 6 cards from your graveyard, flying. At the beginning of each opponent's upkeep, manifest dread. Yeah, man, I'm fine with this. It has a condition. you just manifest red, play enough instants, and it's pretty crazy. You're gonna get a 5/5 that gets you 2/2 right away, better than a 2/2. Yeah, this art is super cool. Yeah, I don't care that you need so long to play this card, cause it's worth it. It needs to go in the right deck. You can't just put it randomly, I think. I don't think you ever want to counter a third mode on that card, even if you could. On the last card. I'm on a B+, even though it's not an easy spell to cast. But it is gonna end games after you cast it.
B+, this card is sick.
It would be,
Disgusting.
if there would be no first clause, it would be like A+ or something.
Entity Tracker. 2 and a blue for a 2/3 with flash. Eerie. Draw a card.
No.
Blue has no shortage of card advantage, which technically is a knock against this, but it doesn't really matter because it's cheap. It's so easy to just play in. It even has like a passable stats.
And flash.
Barely passable stats. But yeah, flash, really nice. Really, 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 really nice. Like, dang, like you can eat a bear even. You can eat a bear and then you can draw a bunch of cards. It's kind of absurd.
No Eerie has
This
once
is a
per
B+
turn.
for me as well.
What do you give it?
B+.
B+. Very good. Yeah, blue really doesn't need more card draw, but why not? The Mind Skinner.
Draw your whole deck. Why not?
Draw your whole deck, yeah. Play the 6 mana 4/4. Play that. That puts things back. The Mind Skinner. For triple blue, you get a 10/1. That cannot be blocked. It's enchantment creature as well. If a source you control would deal damage to an opponent, prevent that damage, and each opponent mills that many cards. Okay. Okay, this is weird. It cannot be blocked. I mean, this is gonna kill them pretty fast. Especially if they have some manifest red or blue card draw. Blue is very hard to play. You have that 2 mana 2/1 that plays enchantments, right? And this is enchantment. That 2 mana 2/1 plays a lot of cards actually. I mean, cannot be blocked. This is like a 2 or a 3 turn clock if you attack with other creatures. I think this is good. I do think this is good. I'm gonna be on a B for this one. I do think this is good. It just kills so fast. It is crazy weird. What do you think, Scotty?
3 hits
Or 2.
after you cast this.
It can be 2 if they mill
2.
or if you attack with other creatures.
I mean, people are going to be milling through their decks every time they manifest dread. That's 2 cards off,
Yeah.
which is kind of a lot. So let's say 2 hits. That's pretty good. 2 hits is pretty good. I think literally the presence of the is it a homunculus? I don't remember. They're always homunculus.
Okay.
The one that produces blue. I think literally the presence of that card meaningfully affects this grade.
Yeah, because you can play it on turn 3.
Because that makes it, because that makes it meaningfully like easier to cast. C+ for me. I'm a little bit lower, but I do think it's more of a good card than a bad card.
Yeah, I think it kills too fast. Oh, Saga. Oh, Saga. Ah.
Tale of Tamio. 2 and a blue for a legendary enchantment Saga. Chapters 1, 2, and 3. Mill 2 cards. If 2 cards that share a card type were milled this way, draw a card, then repeat this process. Chapter 4. Exile any number of target instant sorcery and or Tamio Planeswalker cards from your graveyard. Copy them. You may cast any number of the copies. Okay, there are no Tamio Planeswalkers in the set. Let's clear that up first. There are none. 0. So it's just instants and sorceries. And then you can cast them, but you have to spend mana for them. You cannot cast them for free. You have to spend the mana. And this mills you for 6. It's like mill 2 cards, mill 2 cards, mill 2 cards. The most likely way that you draw is if you like mill 2 lands. That's just statistically the most likely. And the likelihood of hitting that is like 15% chance-ish. Like just estimated. It's going to be around 15% chance every time this triggers. So essentially, you're never drawing cards. Very, very rarely. And if you ever need to flashback stuff, like you cannot wait 4 turns to get a spell that you need. You know, you have no anticipation of what you're going to need during that time. It's so far in advance. This is an F for me.
It is way too slow. It is way too slow. It's like what? First turn, kind of do nothing. Second turn, kind of do nothing. Third turn, kind of do nothing. Fourth turn, I get to basically draw some cards. It is a little, but it does have Eerie, so that's kind of cool. There is like probably 20% or there's like 20%. There's like something like 20% or a little bit more for this to work. Right, so you do get a chance to draw a card. It's like 20. It's not 17 or 40 because you also have other creatures, enchantments, and stuff like that. It is way too slow. It's way too slow. F, don't play this. I don't think you ever play this. It's way too slow. This set needs clear the mind, man. This set really needs clear the mind. Get things back from the graveyard into my deck. Enduring Curiosity. It's a 2 and a blue enchantment cat glimmer creature. It's a 4/3 with flash. Whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, you draw a card. When this thing dies, if it was a creature, return it to the battlefield under its control. It's an enchantment. Very, very good. Same like the 3-drop in white was. 4/3 flash, enchantment. You're gonna be drawing cards later anyways. It's a maze, so blue could Scotty. Like,
Yep.
these are rares, but blue is gonna be going through the deck pretty quickly. This is amazing. I would say that this is a B+, crazy powerful.
Yeah, the enduring effects, the entire cycle, just ridiculously strong in my opinion.
Yeah, yeah. Also double Eerie for all of these. Is this A- maybe?
I'm on a B+.
I'm still on B+, but I can see it being an A-. Very crazy.
Leyline of Transformation, 2 blue. For an enchantment. If Leyline of Transformation, I'm gonna speedrun this. If Leyline of Transformation is in your opening hand, you may begin the game with it on the battlefield. As Leyline of Transformation enters, choose a creature type. Creatures you control are the chosen type in addition to the other types. The same is true for creature spells you control and creature cards you own that aren't on the battlefield. F.
F, never play this. Bye-bye. Overlord of the Flood Pits. For 3 and double blue, it's a 5/3 with flying. Whenever this thing enters the battlefield or attacks, draw a card, then discard a card. And it also has Impending for only 3 mana. So for 3 mana you get to draw 2 cards and discard a card, and in 4 turns you are gonna be getting a 5/3 flyer. I don't think you ever play this for 3 mana. Right? For 5 mana, get a 5/3 flyer that draws a card. This is not like the others. This is not like the other Overlords. This is not broken or anything. It's not broken, like it just ends the game. But a 5 mana 5/3 that draws you 2 cards and then you discard a card is pretty good still. And then you can do it again. So yeah. I think all the Overlords are better. I can't remember everyone, but I feel like they are. I actually didn't see maybe all of them. This is still good. This is still great. Blue really, even the rares draw, everything draws cards. I'm on a B for this one. What about you, Scotty?
Yeah, B. That's exactly where I was gonna go. Like, still good,
Still good.
but not busted.
Yeah, not completely game ending.
Marina Vendrell's Grimoire, 5 in blue for 6 mana for a legendary artifact. When Marina Vendrell's Grimoire enters, if you cast it, draw 5 cards. You have no maximum hand size and don't lose the game for having 0 or less life. Whenever you gain life, draw that many cards. Whenever you lose life, discard that many cards. Then, if you have no cards in hand, you lose the game. I don't actually believe that this is stone unplayable. I believe that you absolutely do not need this in blue. There's so much card draw. But I think it's easy to sneeze at this and say like, oh, this is just like a super gimmick, right? But on 6 mana, you don't die immediately. I mean, if you die immediately you die. But then after that, you can like leverage your hand. Let's say you play this when you're relatively safe, and then you can like just leverage your hand. You're just never taking damage. You have enough resources. You're just never taking damage. But this is very bad. So I'm giving this a D-.
I think it's an F. It's 6 mana is way too much to pay for this. It is way too. Would this be better as a 6 mana draw 5 cards? I think it would. But it would. Yes. I don't like that as well.
Maybe. I'd like the no maximum hand size.
Yeah, fuck this. F, don't play it. But we got a central elevator room. When you unlock this door for 4 mana, search your library for a room card that doesn't have the same name as the room you control. Reveal it, put it into your hand and shuffle. Okay. For 3 mana, there's another door. At the beginning of your upkeep serial 1, you win the game if there are 8 or more different names among unlocked rooms you control. Rooms, not doors, right? So, wait, does each room count as 2 names? Oh, each room counts as 2 names, yep. Right?
You need 4 rooms. You need 4 rooms. Fully unlocked.
Oh, this is actually not an F. This is actually not an F. It is pretty bad, though. This is pretty bad. I would say that this is a D. I think you can build a deck around this one. But it's shit. Too much mana to pay.
I also think it's a D.
It is pretty shit though. Too much mana to pay for this. But it's okay. What about the next one, Scotty?
The next one is Mirror Room and Fractured Realm. Mirror Room is 2 and a blue, 3 mana. Fractured Realm is 5 blue, 7 mana. Mirror Room is when you unlock this door, create a token that's a copy of target creature you control, except it's a reflection in addition to its other types. Fractured Realm is if a triggered ability of a permanent you control triggers, that ability triggers an additional time. This isn't the worst card, right? So Fractured Realm is super expensive. 7 mana. You've stabilized, you can afford to spend 7 mana, sure, you win the game. It almost doesn't really matter what the text is. And even this, once you pay the 7 mana, you do have to have the other cards to actually work with it. So Fractured Realm is like nothing. But Mirror Room isn't the most unplayable card in the world. Do I think 3 mana clone your own creature is good? I actually don't. I don't think that's a good card. But with the 2 modes combined, Fractured Realm providing very little of the evaluation for me, but at least as a whole, including Eerie, etc., synergies factored in, I think this is like a C-.
I think it's pretty great. Like for 3 mana, it's fine. That is fine. That's not that much to pay. I think it's fine. Like 3 mana clone is okay, but not super desirable. But 7 mana, once you get to it, I don't think it's nothing. It's not great. But every single room that you have is gonna trigger twice for both of its sides, if they're triggered, right? A lot of your creatures are also gonna be enter the battlefield effects or dead effects. So enchantments as well. I think it's better than it looks. I'm on a C+ for this one because it is a clock. Like when you get to 7, if you can afford to do this, even though blue draws so much, so it's gonna be hard to do this. So many things trigger twice, but it is 7 is so much to pay. But that's just like you still got your best creature twice, so it's okay. I'm on a C+. It's not broken, but it's I don't think it's bad. I don't think it's bad.
What grade do you give just Mirror Room? So like the old card Mirror Image.
I don't know, C- maybe.
Okay, I think that card's a D. So I think we're fundamentally different on the base of this card.
But this is also Eerie.
Are great difference.
This is also Eerie, right? And Fractured Realm, like if you draw this super late game, you play Fractured Realm first, and then you create 2 copies.
Yes. If you played Fractured Realm first, yeah. If you have a bazillion mana.
Oh, and all the Eerie triggers are triggered twice. There are a lot of triggers. I do think that this 7 is not nothing. I think it bumps the grade quite a bit. Because the floor is fine. It's fine. It's like a C- floor. Next up, we got commons in black. Do you like blue?
I like blue. Blue seems very focused.
Yeah.
I like blue specifically because of can't speak or whatever, the 1 mana enchantment. I think I've changed my mind after looking at blue. I think that's the best blue common instead of the draw 2.
Which one?
I think the 1 mana O2. 1 mana O2.
That's very good in this set, yeah.
I think that's the most important blue common to pick up. So I think you want to be prioritizing that very early. So I'm going to move mine up to B-.
Okay.
It's just exactly what you want when the rest of your game plan revolves around just drawing your whole deck. Fear of loss. You want to go into black?
Yes, absolutely, absolutely.
Well, do you need a break? Do you need?
I